All right, let's talk about the secret signals hiding in plain sight, or, well, in plain hearing. Today, we're going to decode the powerful, unspoken messages that your voice is sending out every single time you talk.
I mean, really think about it. I'm fine can mean, I'm actually doing great. But it can also mean I'm furious, or I'm completely exhausted, or maybe even, please, for the love of everything, ask me what's wrong. The words don't change, but the real conversation? That's happening in the tone.
So let's get into it. This hidden conversation, the one that tells the real story behind what we say, it actually has a scientific name. And it's a whole field of study that shows just how much we're all communicating without even trying.
It's called paralanguage, or sometimes vocalics, and it's the official term for all those things your voice does that aren't the words themselves. How fast you talk, how loud you are, and the big one for us today, your pitch. These are the things that give our words all their color and emotional punch.
So why does this really matter? Well, get this. One analysis found that the sound of a speaker's voice matters twice as much as the actual words they're saying when people are forming an impression. Yeah, that's right. How you say it can be way more important than what you say.
Okay, so to really understand this hidden language, we got to pop the hood a little bit. We're going to zoom in on one of the most powerful parts of paralanguage, your vocal pitch. Let's take a look at the amazing little engine that makes it all happen.
Deep inside your throat, in your larynx or voice box, you have your vocal folds. And when you speak, air rushes past them, making them vibrate. The speed of that vibration is what creates your pitch. It's a really elegant little system.
The easiest way to picture this is to think of them like guitar strings. If you tighten the string, it gets thinner, vibrates faster, and you get a higher note. If you loosen it, it gets thicker, vibrates slower, and you get a lower note. Your body is basically playing its own little instrument every time you talk.
And all of this is controlled by these tiny little muscles in your larynx that are constantly working, stretching, and relaxing your vocal folds. So when they pull on them and stretch them out, the folds get thinner, more tense, they vibrate faster, and boom, you get a higher pitch.
Now, just to put some numbers on it, the typical fundamental frequency for an adult male voice usually lands somewhere in this range, between 90 and 155 vibrations per second, or hertz.
And for a typical adult female, that range is naturally higher, usually sitting somewhere between 165 and 255 hertz. This is mostly just due to basic biology, the size and thickness of the vocal folds. All right, so let's take all this science out of the lab and into the real world, say the office. Because these little vocal tics have a huge and mostly unconscious impact on how people see us at work. It can shape everything from whether you get hired to whether people think you're credible. Okay, first up is a habit I guarantee you've heard, vocal fry. It's that low, creaky, kind of gravelly sound that happens at the end of a sentence when you drop your voice way down, like this. It happens when you hit your lowest register without enough breath to support it.
And the professional cost of this can be, well, it's surprisingly high. A major study found that people who use vocal fry are seen as less competent, less educated, less trustworthy, and yep, even less hireable. It just signals a kind of low energy or lack of belief in what you're saying, and that sets off a whole chain of negative assumptions. And then there's uptalk. This is when you say something that's supposed to be a confident statement, but your pitch goes up at the end, making it sound like a question. It basically turns a fact into a request for approval. We all do it, especially when we're a little nervous. And the impact here is huge. In a survey of more than 700 managers, a staggering 85% said they see uptalk as a clear sign of insecurity. So even if your words are strong, your voice is kind of betraying your confidence.
So we judge these vocal habits pretty harshly, but why? Well, the answer isn't just about modern office culture. To figure this out, we have to go much, much deeper and listen to the evolutionary echoes that still shape our snap judgments today.
I mean, why are we so hardwired to make these huge leaps based on just the sound of someone's voice? To find the answer, we've got to leave the boardroom and travel way, way back in time, to a place where your voice could literally be a matter of life and death. And this brings us to this absolutely incredible study of the Hadza people in Tanzania. They're a modern hunter-gatherer society, and researchers wanted to find out if our vocal biases are a modern thing or something much more ancient. And what they found was wild. So the Hadza listened to recordings of voices that were digitally made to be higher or lower in pitch, and they consistently linked lower-pitched male voices with being a better hunter and lower-pitched female voices with being a better gatherer. To them, a lower voice meant you were better at getting food. And there's a really solid biological reason for this.
A lower voice is linked to testosterone, and that hormone doesn't just deepen your voice, it also helps build the muscle and strength you'd need for tough physical jobs like hunting. So our brains just evolved to hear a deep voice and think, strong and capable.
Okay, so a lower pitch signals you're a good provider. When it comes to picking a partner, the answer should be easy. Lower is always better, right? Well, it turns out it's a lot more complicated than that.
The study found this fascinating trade-off. Men, it turns out, actually preferred higher-pitched female voices, which is a cue for youth and fertility. And for women, it was even more interesting. Women who are breastfeeding, a time when having a supportive partner is crucial, they preferred higher-pitched male voices, seeing them as more reliable. But women who weren't breastfeeding, they went for those deep, dominant voices that signal good genes. Our needs literally change what we want to hear.
So from the ancient savannah all the way to a modern job interview, our voice is just this incredibly powerful tool. It's a huge part of our personal brand, constantly broadcasting signals about our confidence, our competence, and even our ancient survival traits. And just being aware of this hidden language is the first and biggest step to taking control of your message.
We've unpacked the science, psychology, and the deep history that's packed into every sound you make. So the only question left is, now that you know the hidden language, what do you want your voice to say about you?